Hello, horror fans. Welcome back to Jay vs. Horror. Guys, we are doing 5 awesome horror films you can watch for free. That's right, 5 awesome horror films you can watch absolutely legal, for free, anytime you want. Now, we're going to talk about the films a little bit. We're going to give you the trailer to the films, and then we're going to put the link to each film in the description. The direct link. You can click on that, go straight to the movie, watch it anytime you want. Alright, horror fans, now don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. At number 5, Vile. It's a 2011 American horror film directed by Taylor Sheridan, and this is an interesting story. I gotta stop here for a second, because Taylor Sheridan, after directing this movie, became pretty famous. He acted, of course, in the FX series Sons of Anarchy. He played Chief of Police David Hale. And then he went on to write several films. He wrote Sicario, and then he actually wrote and directed Wind River. He also wrote a film called Hell or High Water, which was nominated for 4 Oscars, including Best Picture. And he also wrote the 2018 sequel to Sicario. So he became pretty famous after directing this film. And because of that, Taylor Sheridan denies ever making this film, even though everyone who was on set there says absolutely 100% he was the director. So it's an interesting thing. Now, the movie's not bad, so I don't know why he denies it. It's just probably because it's a horror film. And I'll be honest, that sticks in my craw a little bit as a horror fan. But yeah, directed by Taylor Sheridan. It stars Eric J. Beck, April Matson, Akeem Smith, Greg Sipes, Maya Hazen, Heidi Mueller, and Mackenzie Westmore. It follows 10 kidnapped people who have 22 hours to mount an escape from a locked room, and they must endure excruciating pain in order to win their freedom. Guys, the best way I can describe this one is, if you like Saw, if you like Hostel, you're going to love Vile. It's in the vein of those films. It's very much reactionary to their success. It does, however, have its own very interesting story, as we see these people trapped together, and they're extracting pain from people to create a drug. And in order to do that, they have to reach a certain amount on this meter of pain. No one person can do that by themselves without dying, so this group of people decide to split it up. They're going to extract a certain amount of pain from each person without killing them. Of course, this does not go the way they expect it to. Guys, it's a fun film. Let's take a look at the trailer for 2011's Vile.
Hello and welcome to my house. I apologize for the uncomfortable circumstances that have brought you all here, but I can assure you that if you work together, you will all be out of here in no time. I have given you all a new piece of jewelry on the back of your heads. This device is intended to do one thing only, which is to siphon off particular chemicals that your brains naturally produce. The chemicals that we need are only produced when the body tells the brain that it is in trouble. Pain will be your only way out of this house.
There are 9 of us, okay? And I'm thinking if we split it up, it might not even be that bad.
I think we're gonna have to be a little rougher than that. Who's next?
At number 4, The Church. It's a 1989 Italian supernatural horror film co-written and directed by Michele Soavi, who worked with every great Italian horror mind in the business. He also made a film called Stage Fright a couple years before this. That's a great film in itself. This movie was produced by the great Dario Argento. It stars Hugh Quarshie, Tomas Arana, along with Asia Argento and Giovanni Lombardo Radici, who's in every great Italian horror movie, right? Although it was originally conceived as the 3rd installment in the Demons series, this would have been Demons 3. Soavi came on board and immediately insisted that the film be distant from the rest of the series. He wanted it to be more sophisticated than the other two Demons films, and so he rewrote the screenplay to remove any connection to the other two films of the series. And, it's interesting. This one is probably better than a lot of the films that came after it that did try to take over the Demons moniker. The plot is that we're in medieval Germany, where we have a band of religious knights who massacre an entire village of supposed devil worshippers. They bury their bodies underground and build a Gothic cathedral over the mass grave as a means to contain the demonic evil within. We fast forward to modern day, and of course, this idea has not worked out well. It's a great film, guys. I love this one a lot, and I totally see where Soavi brought a pinch of sophistication to this series, even though I don't believe it needed it. I'm a big fan of Demons and Demons 2. I think they're both really good films. This is one of those films that's just good in its own right, kind of like Halloween Season of the Witch, or some may even argue the new Wrong Turn movie would fall into that category. It is a part of the franchise, even though there are a couple other films that tried to steal the name Demons 3 because they didn't use it. This was a common thing in Italy. Like, they would slap, Fulci did Zombie 2, well, then they would do Zombie 3 and Zombie 4 and Zombie 5. They would just slap those titles on films that had nothing to do with the original. They also did that with some of the Demons films. And so while The Church doesn't connect to Demons or Demons 2, I still think it's a damn fine movie, guys. Let's take a look at the trailer for The Church.
Shh. Last night the angel of evil possessed me, and I became his servant. I want to do evil, to kill.
Alright, horror fans, at number 3 we have Diary of the Dead. It's a 2007 American found footage horror film written and directed by George A. Romero. That's right, the original, the man. Although it was independently produced, it was distributed theatrically later on, and Diary of the Dead is the 5th installment in Romero's Night of the Living Dead series of zombie films. However, this is important. According to Romero, this is not a direct sequel to any of his earlier films in the series. Instead, both this and the film that came after it, Survival of the Dead, occur within an entirely separate universe. So that's from the man himself, saying that, no, this is not a sequel to my earlier work. It's a totally different thing in its own world. I think it's very interesting. A lot of people hate on this film, but, it's fun to me to see George Romero take a stab at doing found footage and doing it inside a genre or a subgenre where he feels comfortable. The story is about a group of young film students from the University of Pittsburgh who are in the woods making a horror film along with their faculty advisor when they hear the news of an apparent mass rioting and mass murder. And so basically, like with all found footage horror films, this is the setup of how we're seeing our found footage. This is why it's found footage, right? Because they go on to film the zombie apocalypse, of course. And, a lot of people, like I said, they don't love Diary of the Dead. I think it's a fascinating film. It's a look at found footage from an older director with an older style. Alright, horror fans, let's take a look at the trailer for Diary of the Dead.
2 news agencies are reporting accounts of the dead returning to life.
What's that? was that?
You can't talk about it being an epidemic without being an epidemic.
What is this about, Jason?
This turns out to be a big thing. I just want to record it.
For this sort of failure, like government agencies, support organizations.
Look. It looks hurt.
It's all burned up.
The problem doesn't seem to be that people are waking up dead. The dead people are waking up.
It's not going down! Shoot in the head! No, please!
They're not getting the truth from anybody else. All that news is a pack of lies.
I'm dealing with this crisis.
Now. You gotta know that this might be bad.
I'm trying to get home to my family, okay?
Don't bury dead. They'll shoot in head.
People start running out of food, water, gas. They're gonna start shooting at each other.
Trust somebody.
What would you do? Kill us?
I think about it.
Maybe one of them got in already.
You're saying they're all dead?
Yes.
This is a hospital. There's nobody here.
This is a diary of cruelty.
Come on, before we get our asses shot off.
I can't do this anymore. Every time we walk in somewhere, somebody dies.
At number 2. Guys, here we have one that I never hear mentioned. It's called The Hoarder from 2015. And no, it's not about an overly obese person inside a house full of newspapers. It's an American psychological horror thriller directed by Matt Winn, written by James Handel and Matt Winn, and it stars Misha Barton and Robert Knipper. So a couple of names there. Barton, of course, has been all over television and movies for years. And I remember Robert Knipper from, of course, Prison Break. He was a very good bad guy in Prison Break and went on to be in several other things where he was very good. This film is about a young woman who thinks her fiancé is cheating on her. She finds a key to a storage shed, and so she takes her friend with her to this storage shed, right? But little do they know, it's like an underground storage lot. And once they get in there, they find that they are stalked by a killer. Maybe a killer. It might be a crazy-ass monster. We're not sure for a long time in this movie what's going on. People are in the storage units underground. We have a couple, and then there's a private investigator, and we have our friends here and a couple people that work there, and they're all kind of trapped in this situation once it goes down. They're locked into the underground part of this storage facility and stalked by, like I said, we don't know. Is it a killer? Is it some kind of creature? Maybe there's a vampire living in this storage shed. We're not 100% sure to the end. It's a pretty good film. I think it's very underrated. I mean, I never hear anyone talk about it, and it's definitely not maybe a top 10 film from 2015, but I'd definitely say top 25. It's decent. So let's take a look at the trailer for 2015's The Hoarder.
So, where's this diary?
He's got a storage unit. He says we have too much stuff.
This pile is supposed to be my pile.
I don't even know why I hung on to this junk anyway. Sometimes it's hard to throw things away. Yeah.
I need your help.
What?
To break in. This place is huge.
Oh, hit the lights. Hurry up!
I'm Detective Burns, okay? Why don't you just tell me what's going on here?
She's dead.
Who's dead?
I think she's in shock.
Who'd you say attacked you?
It wasn't a person.
What do you mean it wasn't a person?
It's locked? Why is it locked?
Police, put your fucking weapon down!
You know, there's something weird going on down there.
What's that?
Is that what you think?
He risked our lives for that.
Alright, horror fans, we've made it down to number 1 this week, and the film is The Poughkeepsie Tapes. It's a 2007 American mockumentary horror film written and directed by John Eric Dowdle. The film is about the murders of a serial killer in Poughkeepsie, New York, told through interviews and footage from a cache of the killer's snuff films. Now, guys, people always ask me, Jay, does a film bother you? Can you think of any one film that bothers you? There are a couple scenes in different films I'm not crazy about watching. Atros has several scenes that will make you want to turn away. So does Visceral, Between the Ropes of Madness. Of course, the Serbian film has scenes that nobody wants to watch all the way through. And this one is another one, the Poughkeepsie Tapes. It shouldn't bother me, but it does. It's a little weird. Now, a lot of what bothers me isn't the crazy violence that's on screen. It's some of the stuff that's alluded to. There's one scene here where we see that this killer is videotaping himself talking to a very young girl, like 7 or 8 years old. We don't know exactly what that means. I mean, I don't think he abducts the girl in that scene, but it alludes to the fact that he was trying to, and we see what he does with the victims that he abducts. This is a chilling horror film. If you can only imagine that it is real. I mean, I'm sure they found stuff like this before. I know that when Scott Glenn was working on Silence of the Lambs, he listened to some audio tapes from Otis Toole that he said turned his stomach and pretty much made him not want to do serial killer stuff for a long time after that, even though he did turn right around after that and do Slaughter of the Innocents, which was kind of a Silence of the Lambs ripoff. He might have done them around the same time, I don't know, because he does say that in an interview that it turned him off from wanting to do that kind of stuff again. But anyway, yeah, this is like a killer's real video collection. Everyone he's killed, the way he's done it, it's very disgusting. But the film has a little bit of a twist to it. I won't give it away. I thought it was pretty interesting the way they finished this one up, guys. Let's take a look at the trailer for the infamous The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
We have to wait 24 hours.
No, there is blood! There is blood out there! Send the police now!
Today, police made a shocking discovery in Poughkeepsie.
A third body was found here today. A Poughkeepsie couple vanished over the weekend, seemingly without a trace.
Do you mind if I film this? I'm making a little movie about my trip.
The Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Alright, horror fans, that's all we've got for this episode. Now, we're going to be back tomorrow with another episode of this. I've caught on to something and I want to make an episode about it. It's 5 great remakes that you can watch for free. We're going to do that tomorrow, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check us out on Patreon. If you become one of our Patreon patrons and you donate as little as $2 a month, we're going to put you in our drawing for April 1st. April 1st, we are giving away the entire Friday the 13th, the series collection. We have all 3 seasons to give away to one person. So if you donate as little as $2 a month, that'll get your name in the hat. You can find the link to that in the description below, along with the link to all these fabulous movies we just talked about. And guys, as always, we will talk to you the next time we've got something worth talking about. Bye.